Hello once again, YouTube. Chris the Nightbringer here, bringing you some World Painter action. Now, when we left off, we had totally different terrain to what I have right now, and I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened, because something kind of got, well, not switched or not messed up. It's just a personal preference of mine led me to change a whole bunch of shit, basically. Um, so if you remember in the last video, we had like totally crazy terrain. There was rocky, spiky, not spiky, but rocky terrain all over, and there was cliffs. Cliffs, let me see if I can find an example. If you see this area right here, right in the center of the screen pretty much, we had cliffs like that all over the landscape. And I went around the landscape, and I realized that was way too fucking cliffy. I know that we were trying to get like a rocky terrain style going for this. Didn't really work out too well. It turned out to be quite bad actually, and we don't want that. We want terrain that looks like Ireland. If you don't know what Ireland looks like, here's some pictures. Google it. Basically, that's what the island is based after Northern Ireland, and they got landscape like this. There's cliffs, but there's not cliffs everywhere. In fact, it's very flat. I didn't make it flat because I didn't want to make it flat because it's an island, and I don't think. I mean, it could be flat, but I don't like flat terrain, and Minecraft doesn't really do good with flat terrain because then it just turns into plains biome, and we don't fucking want that. And it's not. I'm not saying that we're gonna turn it into a plains biome. It's just that flat terrain doesn't really work for what we're trying to achieve with this map. We want it to be interesting. We want you to explore if you're gonna be fucking on the map to begin with. So that's pretty much the whole idea of, making it a lot more hilly and rocky. There are flatter areas, to be sure, but the actual cliffiness of and the rockiness of the entire place has been lowered by a substantial amount. Basically, what I did is I took the smooth tool, and if you don't know what that is, it's right here. Smooth tool, and then I just took like a big brush and fucking went all over the map like this, and it made these kind of hills. And you can see the remnants of those hills in areas like this. You can see how high and low all of these areas go. And basically what I did is I then took the raise and lower terrain tool, and I took a brush, one of these, and I just roughened it up. If you really want to roughen it up, you can use the cliff brushes that I have. Those have really, really noisy edges. You can see all of the different, ups and downs in that little bit of terrain right there, as opposed to something like this, which is very noticeable gradients, and you can see like how smooth that is. But when we do this, bam, it's instantly like roughed up. So you can use that across the entire map, and I suggest you do that. And in fact, I think I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna fast forward this bit like super duper fast. I'm gonna fucking go over the entire map. And fix that up. I smoothed out some areas. Like you can see here, this area is pretty flat, and I gave some nice cliffs into the hillier and higher areas of the terrain, basically to make it so that if you were coming in from this side of the map and you were trying to land here, you would see some cliffs on the coast, but some cliffs inland too. If you had high enough render distance. If we turn this on, you should be able to see those from the edge of the water with a far render distance at the very least. And in other places it's more dramatic, especially over here. We got some really fucking crazy cliffs. These cliffs at the highest rise 70 meters. That's a little bit much, and I'm going to lower those. These ones are about 40 meters. That's not too bad. 40 meters isn't too bad, but we don't want huge massive mountains, but we do want some rocky mountains. We want, mountains that have dirt and rock on top of them. So I'm going to quickly go over the entire map with some noise just to give it a little bit more, bumpiness and not make it so smooth in some places because it's kind of noticeably smooth. And then we're going to start painting this motherfucking map. So give me a second and I'll go ahead and do that. Alright, so I finished the rest of the terrain, added some noise to it. I flattened some areas out a little bit more, just to make some areas look a little bit nicer and not so hilly. The hills, they don't really do so well in Minecraft, believe it or not. No matter how many times I've tried to make hills, at least they never look good. I've always tried to make hills that like you see in Braveheart, those types of hills. Those are fucking beautiful hills. Can never make them. And I think that may be a combination of multiple things, but regardless, we're gonna move on to painting, which is probably like the best and most satisfying part of this entire thing. And I'll show you how I do it. Okay, so basically the first thing we want to do is there's two ways you can do this. You can use a brush, or you can use global operations. Global operations is faster, but you don't have control over it, of course, like you do with a brush. And we're going to be using a combination of both because there's certain things we need to make sure happen with this specific terrain in order to get it the way we want it to look. So the first thing is you can use global operations right now to add grass to the entire map. Pretty basic stuff. We're going to add grass and we're going to do it only on land. Now, I apologize if my voice went a little crazy there for a second, but now we have totally and completely and utterly covered all of the land above the water into grass. It now has a top layer of grass and, 4 blocks of dirt underneath it or whatever. And there you go. We have grass. That's basically it. Moving on, we're going to get into some pretty specific things. Mostly with custom terrain. I apologize if you can hear my chair squeaking. I'm moving around a lot. Sorry about that. So we have custom terrain up here, and this is only going to really apply if you're using a custom texture pack, or a texture pack in general. Recently, well not recently, but like maybe half a year ago, I have no idea. Custom made block textures have been available in texture blocks, or they've recently become a thing that texture pack makers are using. And basically it allows the same material to display different textures if you use the texture pack. In this case, we have different types of stone. We have light stone, we have mossy stone, we have dark stone. I am personally using the Conquest texture pack. If you are also using the Conquest texture pack, you may want to listen up because what I tell you will allow you to use the same exact things that I'm using. So basically what this allows us to do is create really dynamic, rocky like vistas, and anything that has rock on it can be way more interesting than it has ever been before. If you don't use these custom textures, you're still going to get some pretty awesome stuff. You're just going to be using default texture pack, and you're still going to get the same effect of, angles and slopes being exposed rock, and the smoother smoothed out areas will have grass on them still. You just won't have a variety of color for the most part inside those exposed rock areas, or those exposed cliff faces and stuff like that. So I have up here all 3 of the custom terrain materials that I will be using. We have light stone. I'm going to edit select custom material so you can see what I did in order to get this. I'm using, like I said, the Conquest texture pack. This only works for Conquest texture pack, so you're gonna have to want to pay attention to this. I have the name of it light stone, and I made it a whitish color because it's obviously a lighter stone than normal. And the block ID is stone, the data value is 6, and the occurrence, I'm just going to leave that alone. And that's it. That's all you do for that one. The dark stone, I used black for the color. Block ID is stone, and the data value is 5. So that'll give us the darker stone variant. And the mossy stone, which basically is stone with patches of moss on it. This one, I did 2 different materials, and you can add a material by clicking on this. The first one would be regular stone, data value is 0, and its occurrence in percentage is 500. The second one is regular stone, data value of 1, occurrence 500. That means for this particular layer of mossy stone, wherever we place it, half of it will be regular stone, half of it will be mossy. That's up to you, really, how you want to do that. I like to keep it not so mossy because I don't think moss grows on stone as often as, if I put it on, if I made mossy stone appear on every single block, I don't think that would look too good. It might just be too much mossy stone. I don't know if I like that, but what I've seen so far looks pretty damn good. So I'm gonna stick with what I have. You can alter that, of course, however you want. You can mix those materials if you want, and it really opens up some options in the future for, you know, other types of things, some crazy things that you could possibly come up with. But we're just going to be using those as they are right now. So next you want to go back to global operations. What we're going to do is we're going to fill terrain type. We're going to scroll all the way down. We're going to get our moss stone. And honestly, all you have to do for this is click above 45 degrees. Bam. 45 degrees, if you don't know math, is like one block next to another block that's higher. I mean, it's like one step up. It's like jumping up a block. That's 45-degree jump from the edge of one block to the edge of the next block. So every 45 degrees, 45-degree slope on this map now has mossy stone on it. If we look at this, you can see all of those slopes here. That's why I used bright colors, so you could see them easier. It's pretty damn cool. I'm going to turn on my lamp because I can't fucking see anything. It just got really dark in my room because of clouds. Fuck you, clouds. So now we have mossy stone on all these rocks. So this is pretty good because this place is supposed to be, you know, by the ocean. There's lots of water. Moss can grow pretty much everywhere here. It's an island. And even in non-island places, moss grows pretty commonly. So now we have that layer set. I will let you know ahead of time that the stones around here, if they're too flat, you won't be able to get all these cool, you know, stone colors on them as much as you will on the cliffs and stuff. So you're gonna have to paint those separately with a brush, probably. So we're gonna go back into global operations. We're gonna fill with terrain type again. We're gonna go down and we're gonna click on light stone. Am I correct in saying that? Yes, I am. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure that I have everything in order. And we're gonna go above 50 degrees. I don't want there to be that much light stone. It needs to be about 50-50 with the next layer that we're going to be doing. And I'm gonna click OK. You don't have to make sure that this is underwater. You can do this, or you can do this underwater if you want, or allow it to go underwater. If you don't want it to go underwater, then you would be clicking on only on land, of course, if you want this to not happen underwater. And now you can see that we have this lighter stone covering a massive amount of our map. There's still a lot of the moss stone, but light stone has almost taken over now. If we look over here, you can see all the cliff faces that have lighter stone on it. Here's the dealio. We don't want light stone being dominant. We only want the light stone being dominant on some of the cliff faces, and we'll get to those in a few minutes, and we'll use brushes for that. But right now, we're going to go on to the next layer. Go to global operations, fill with terrain type. We're going to go to stone, and since the last layer was on 50 degrees, we're going to set this one to 55. Let's see if this works on 55. And we're going to use regular stone, keep that in mind. Let's see how this looks. We want the majority of the light stone to go away. We don't want all of it to go away, but we want the majority of it to go away. And I think we achieved that. I think we really did. If you look closely right here, you can see that the light stone kind of outlines the gray stone, the regular stone, which is pretty good. That's exactly what I wanted, actually. Because these cliffs, especially down here by Pyke, are supposed to be really dark. And I want all the cliffs inland to be really dark. Compared to, you know, the other areas. So a nice even mix of this is fine. If there's more dark or regular colored stone than light stone, that's fine. And now we're going to move on to the last layer, which is this dark stone. And we're going to go to global operations, fill with terrain, scroll down, dark stone. And since the last one was on 55, I'm thinking 65. Let's try 65. If that doesn't work, we can try it again. This is looking pretty good. I'm seeing a lot of places where it's very dark, especially over here by the mountains. But the thing is even on these mountains, or these really steep cliffs over here by the Pyke Castle, we can see that there's still a lot of normal gray stone popping through, which is very good. We want that. And if we look at the this over here, we can see just how crazy it's getting. I might turn down the amount of gray stone actually now that I see this. There's a little bit too much in some places. So we're going to undo that. We're going to do this again. And I'm pretty sure I set that to 65. So let's set that to 70 this time. And of course, we're going to fill with dark stone. Let's try this time and see if it works out in our favor. Come on. I think that's going to work out a little bit better. If you look over here, we got more of this regular colored stone peeking through. We want there to be a very nice mix. You don't want to go with too much of one material. It'll look bad. It'll basically ruin the purpose of including all these variety of stone in the first place. So here you can see we got a nice balance between all these different colors, I think. A little bit of moss, a little bit of light stone, a decent amount of gray stone, regular stone, and a decent amount, a hint, if not a decent amount of dark stone. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to go around all the cliffs. Because I want the cliffs to basically be a lot brighter in terms of the stone that they're made of, so I'm going to be using the lighter stone. I'm going to take the lighter stone, custom terrain, click on it. I'm going to go to above 47 degrees. I'm going to get a brush. I'm going to use the noise brush. It's pretty simple. And only, well, except on, let's say grass, just so we make sure that none of the grass turns into it. And we're going to go around the edges. And actually, I'm going to use one of these circular brushes instead. We're going to go around the edges and we're going to turn a lot of this stone down here into light stone. It's because we want those nice white cliffs. You don't have to do this everywhere. You don't have to go crazy with this. And certainly don't try and do this around, you know, a place that's supposed to look dark. Because Ireland is kind of sketchy and funky with this type of stuff. It jumps around a lot. You can see cliffs that have darker stone, and then you can see cliffs over here that have really bright stone, and it's really weird. And there's no set way of doing this, but this is just a personal thing of mine that I would like to do in making the map look a little bit better. So I'm going to go around some of these cliffs, especially some of the ones that are a little bit too dark, I think, and make some of these areas a little bit lighter with lighter stone, especially on the northern end. Look at these cliffs. Oh my god. Lots of cliffs. I got rid of all those rocky areas because of terrain that looked like this. It was just a bit too much. But I kept it in some places just to make it really fucking crazy. We're going to come over here and whiten up these cliffs a little bit. Keep in mind I did this above 47 so that some of the regular mossy stone is still showing through. And that's pretty much it. I'll see you in game with a finished product, and we'll take a look at this. This is really where the terrain creation pays off. This is the pinnacle of like how it's gonna look. This is basically what it comes down to when you're creating terrain, and how, like looking at what you've accomplished and seeing how you know, how all these different techniques finally paid off in your end product. Alright, so we're here in Minecraft and the terrain is painted, and oh my god, this came out a lot better than I thought it would. I thought it would turn out like crap, to be completely honest, because sometimes you have to fiddle around with this stuff. You have to double check it sometimes. This came out pretty damn good. This is the actual place where the castle is. Let me just load in all the terrain here so you can see it. Come on. Come on. Get loaded, you stupid chunks. There we go, that's a little bit better. Or not. It'd be nice, you know, if this worked. Come on. Get loaded, you dirty chunks, you. You fucking, ugh. Anyway, so yeah, this is what the effect of the multiple, you know, colored rocks are that we included. All the different types of stone that we put in. The custom layers. This is what that turned out to look like in the end. And I think it looks fucking amazing. If we go down here, ignore the YouTube stuff. If we look at Pyke, can see there's some grass on all these little areas. It's not an exact representation, no, of course not 100% at all. But look at this. This is amazing. I mean, I did pretty damn good, I think. I may not have the grass going up as high as it is in the video or the image, but I think this is going to work. I think this will work absolutely fine. I think I might want to lower some of this area a little bit too tall, and I can do that in World Painter in about like a microsecond, so that's no big deal. We're going to travel along this coast real quick and maybe a little bit inland so I can show you some of the effects of what we did, but it looks pretty damn good. It looks exactly like how I wanted it to turn out. We got lots of this entire area over here is very dark with this dark stone. And then we have these brighter cliffs, not so bright sometimes, but generally brighter cliffs in some areas. And I'll speed it up real quick and we'll find some place where it's a bit brighter. And I'll show you the effects of what I did with the light stone. Actually, right here we have some lighter cliffs. Look at these cliffs. This is very rocky area over here. But look at these cliffs. These are amazing. These look so good. These look so good. And basically, that's, what we were trying to go for when we were making this landscape and all this different, all these different layers and stuff. Um, I might have to edit things still, things like this wall, a little bit too steep for me. I might have to go around and find all the cliffs that are a bit too steep. Although that being said, if it's as common as that one, which is not very common at all, I think I might keep it. Um, if you're wondering, well, actually, you might not be wondering about this at all, but I turned off all the other resources, and you can do that when you export the map, and that makes sure that nothing like dirt and gravel appear in the sides of your cliffs, because that makes it look ugly. You got to make sure you do that, because if you don't want that stuff popping out, you're gonna have to, work with that stuff and edit the settings for that. I think over here we're getting close to, well, actually no, this appears to be just a big mountain. I'm going to speed it up real quick until we can get to Ironhold because those are some amazing cliffs. Uh, it's entirely my own design, and I'll show you that when I get there. But for now, enjoy the scenery as I. You're going to want to be careful with things like this. This doesn't exactly look good. This hill is too smooth, and we probably are going to go back in and roughen this hill up. We don't have to change what is painted on the side, but we can go and use one of the rougher brushes and make that hill not so smooth because that doesn't exactly look good. We don't want smooth hills like that. Hills like that would have been better inside the mainland or into the island a little bit more, but hills like that aren't just good. Same right there. That's a little bit too smooth for my taste. We can fix those after. All right. So here we have the cliffs on the northern point of the island. If you want to know where this is, well, actually, I can't really show you. I'll show an image overlaid on the screen here. This is the cliffs on the northernmost point of the island. Entirely my own design because there really was no, image reference for this. These are fucking massive cliffs. These are literally, if I open up this, these are about 70 meters tall at least. 70 meters. 70 meters tall, these cliffs, at least, from the ocean. That is insane. That is impressive, and I love this. This is where this type of, use of custom layers really takes hold and really gives you some amazing looking stuff. Look at all these rocks out here, all these rocky islands. I'm gonna get some grass on these islands because they're a little bit devoid. Not too much grass, just a little bit, especially in places where it's really um, flat, especially. But look at these rocks. These are fucking amazing rocks. Oh my God, they're so good. They're so good. Oh, they look fantastic. They're a little bit sharp, and I might smooth them out a bit because rocks in the ocean are going to be a lot more weathered than a rock that's way up there being hit by wind. So these rocks can get smoothed out quite a bit, which is no big deal. We won't lose any magnificence of these, rocky areas at all. But this cliff is going to be the location of Ironholt, which is one of the towns that we'll be building. There's going to be a nice big tower here on the edge of this cliff somewhere. Got to find out a nice place. I might make a little bit of a raised platform of ground for that tower to sit on. I don't know yet. There's also going to be quite a bit of woods on this part of this hill over here by the ocean. It's going to look pretty good. So in the next episode, we'll cover biome painting, which literally will take about 2 minutes, and tree placing. We have to do the tree placing first, and then we can paint the biomes on, and that's it. Then we're done. Uh, then we can start the actual build of Pyke. After that, I'm going to be making Arathi Basin from World of Warcraft. If you don't know what that is, I'll show you a picture of that right now. Basically, it's a battleground in World of Warcraft. Uh, Pretty cool looking in my opinion. My friend suggested that I make it, and it's going to look amazing because I'm going to be using these bright stone blocks, these bright metadata blocks for the stone, the custom textures and stuff. It's going to look great. I really am looking forward to making that, and I might take it a step further and make it a playable PvP map. I don't know. I have never really done anything with that stuff before, but I think it looks fantastic. I think it looks amazing, and I think it will look amazing when I'm finished with it. Um, so yeah, tell me what you think of this stuff. Comment, rate, favorite, subscribe. Leave me some feedback down below. And if you like this video, watch the next one by clicking the link at the end of the video. To watch the next video. Holy shit, I just said video like 3 times in a row because I don't know what else to say. So yeah, see you guys later. Peace. Over and there was cliffs. Let me see if I can find an example. If you see this area right here, right in the center of the screen pretty much, we had cliffs like that all over the landscape, and I went around the landscape and I realized that was way too fucking cliffy. I know that we were trying to get like a rocky terrain style going for this. Didn't really work out too well. It turned out to be quite bad actually, and we don't want that. We want terrain that looks like Ireland. If you don't know what Ireland looks like, here's some pictures. Google it. Basically, that's what the island is based after Northern Ireland, and they got lands. The actual cliffiness of and the rockiness of the entire place has been lowered by a substantial amount. Basically, what I did is I took the smooth tool. And if you don't know what that is, it's right here. Smooth tool, and then I just took like a big brush and fucking went all over the map like this. And it made these kind of hills. And you can see the remnants of those hills in areas like this. You can see how high and low all of these areas go. And basically what I did is I then took the raise and lower terrain tool, and I took a brush, one of these, and I just roughened it up. If you really want to roughen it up, you can use the cliff brushes that I have. Those have really, really noisy edges. You can see all of the different, ups and downs in that little bit of terrain right there, as opposed to something like this, which is very noticeable gradients, and you can see like how smooth that is. But when we do this, bam, it's instantly like roughed up. So you can use that across the entire map, and I suggest you do that. And in fact, I think I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to fast forward this bit like super duper fast. I'm going to fucking go over the entire map and fix that up. I smoothed out some areas. Like you can see here, this area is pretty flat, and I gave some nice cliffs into the landscape like this. There's cliffs, but there's not cliffs everywhere. In fact, it's very flat. I didn't make it flat because I didn't want to make it flat because it's an island, and I don't think... I mean, it could be flat, but I don't like flat terrain, and Minecraft doesn't really do good with flat terrain because then it just turns into a plains biome, and we don't fucking want that. And it's not... I'm not saying that we're going to turn it into a plains biome, it's just that flat terrain doesn't really work for what we're trying to achieve with this map. We want it to be interesting. We want you to explore if you're going to be fucking on the map to begin with. So that's pretty much the whole idea of, making it a lot more hilly and rocky. There are flatter areas, to be sure, but the Hello once again, YouTube. Chris the Nightbringer here, bringing you some World Painter action. Now, when we left off, we had totally different terrain to what I have right now, and I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened, because something kind of got, well, not switched or not messed up. It's just a personal preference of mine led me to change a whole bunch of shit, basically. So if you remember in the last video, we had like totally crazy terrain. There was rocky, spiky, not spiky, but rocky terrain all